10th, 2017 is called to order. This is the notification of the news media. Mr. Coachman, would you have an invocation for us?
Grace and return of God, Lord God, we just like to thank you for the video today. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for with us tonight. Go to take care of the district of Elizabeth, the business of the district, Heavenly Father. Continue to watch over our children and keep us safe, Heavenly Father. Continue to bless the teachers, the parents, and this entire school district and all school districts around the world. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for what you're doing. Actually, Heavenly Father, we'll have a boxing movie tonight. You reach for the Heavenly Father, we can help you get you there. And all the blessings that we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Before we have a motion for approval of the agenda, Dr. McLeod just came up and said that PD Coalition has requested that we give them 2 trailers that are behind Bennettsville Intermediate School, and it inadvertently got left off of the agenda. So we need a 2/3 vote. Let's just do a unanimous vote, if you would please, to add to the agenda, and then we'll have approval of the agenda. Would anyone make a motion for this, please?
I make a motion that we add the trailers for PD Coalition onto the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. And it's unanimous. Thank you very much. And so now with that added to the agenda, would someone please make a motion for approval of the agenda?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as it now stands.
Is there a second? Did you second, Mr. Flynn? Yeah. Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. All right. New business. We need approval of the amended minutes for April 3rd, 2017. Would someone make a motion for the April 3rd minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the April 3rd minutes.
I second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion's carried unanimously. And same thing for May 15th, 2017.
I make a motion we approve May 15th minutes.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. And next we need approval of minutes for June 5th, 2017.
Can't we do 5th and 7th?
I don't know if anybody's got a problem with it.
I make a motion we approve June 5th and June 7th.
Okay, that's fine.
I second.
All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion's carried unanimously. Next is individuals or groups who wish to appear before the board. And Ms. Kaylin Lyles is going to be first.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, Ms. Parson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Tiller. I am here tonight to thank you for allowing Cedric Littles and myself to be a part of Marlboro County Media Literacy Team. Cedric and I are both graduates of Marlboro County High School. I began working with media literacy when I was at Bloom Elementary Middle School in the 4th grade, under the supervision of Mr. Don Patterson. Through media literacy, I have afforded the opportunity to do broadcasting, taping, and also interviewing. I have interviewed local residents, political leaders, and quite a few celebrities. This has contributed to me choosing performing arts as my major and dramatic writing as my minor. I will be attending SCAD, Savannah College of Arts and Design in Savannah, Georgia, to pursue my degrees. Cedric Littles' team went through college. I want to again thank you for the opportunity to work with the Marlboro County Media Literacy Team. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. And I'll tell you, I think we need a round of applause for the man behind these kids, who's always in the background. Mr. Patterson has filmed for many hours. A round of applause. And next we have Mr. Franklin Haley, and let's see, he wants to speak on, speak concern superintendent.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Tiller. I stand before you tonight to let my concerns be known publicly, that we, the concerned citizens of Clio and Marlboro County, stand behind Dr. Tiller. We also stand for the ones who may not have a voice that can be heard. We stand up for Dr. Tiller, the superintendent of Marlboro County School District. This district has made significant progress with our superintendent as our leader of this district. The students have received more academic scholarships than ever before. The staff has had professional development training for their growth. So I wonder what was happening over the last year. So I went back and we pulled the board agenda for the last year. And we found out that out of the 22 meetings, 14 of those meetings, the superintendent's name appeared on the school board agenda about her evaluation, about her contract, the same. 14 times. And we are having problems with our facilities, and it hardly ever appeared on the agenda. 14 times. So what have we been doing? I think that's harassment, that's disrespectful to the superintendent. We ask you to let the superintendent do her job and the board do their job. I think we'll make a lot of progress. I also like to suggest that that the board has standing committees. We need a facility committee, a policy committee, administrative service committee, so that we can get more work done. It seems to me that we've been stagnated with Dr. Tiller. We have spalding schools, the schools are in dilapidated condition. And we've been talking about Dr. Tiller's contract. She's going in her 7th year, and we still talk about an instrument to evaluate the superintendent. That's shameful. The citizens are tired of this behavior. This is being televised, and you owe something to the voters. So I would like, if this should happen, the school district will grow. They'll get a lot of work done, and the citizens will be happy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And next we have Jamel Chalmers. And she wants to speak on children's welfare.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To the members of the board and Dr. Tiller. I'm a parent and a former student of this school district, and I feel like our children's best interests are not being served by this board. Each of you sitting around the table need to take a personal inventory as to why you are in your particular capacity. If you are not here for the educational advancement of our children and the betterment of our faculty and staff, please step aside and let someone else step in. This situation with our schools is not a game. I feel like our children are being treated like game pieces. I, like every other parent or grandparent in this room, takes my children's education very seriously. As board members, please take some time in a quiet moment and ask yourself, why am I in this position? Am I truly here for the education and protection of these children, or am I here for power, position, or personal gain? If you are here for the latter, you need to reevaluate your motives. Our children's futures are at stake, and we don't have time for power plays and infighting. We are at a critical juncture at this time in our district, and we need everyone pulling in the same direction. Thank you.
And next, Gerald B. Locklear. And he doesn't have a topic.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Madam Chairman, and Dr. Tiller. My name is Gerald Locklear, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the parents, guardians, community, and most importantly, the students of McCall Elementary Middle School. Our school is faced with the same issues that all the schools under your watch are faced with, in addition to unique issues that come along with being a year-round institution. Unlike the other schools in the county, we need to be ready for the beginning of the new school year after a 5-week break. This school schedule works very well for us, but it doesn't take much to disrupt the harmony that comes with going to school year round. The announcement prior to the last board meeting came as quite a shock to us when we found out that both assistant principals were being moved to other schools. I'm here today to ask for your reconsideration of this move. Our school year started today for the faculty, and we do not know who is going to be assigned to us. The children will be arriving on Thursday, and two of the people that these students depend on will not be there. Mr. Markham and Ms. Rankin have been a fixture in these children's lives for their entire educational experience. Through many faculty changes, the constants have been Mr. Markham and Ms. Rankin. We understand that it is within your rights to move faculty as you see fit, but we must implore that another avenue be entertained. Both of these very fine educators are fixtures of our community. They are both pillars of our community that our children see stability in. At this age, stability is a forgotten building block that makes for a foundation of a lifetime of learning. Our children see the presence of these two at each facet of their educational lives. When guidance is needed, they are both there. When discipline is called for, they are both fair and just. When our children are participating and competing, these two are their biggest cheerleaders. We, the parents, guardians, community, and children, do not know what prompted this change. There has been speculation, but I am not here to speak on speculation or opinion. I am here to lay out the facts. And the fact is, we need Mr. Markham and Ms. Rankin. Our children need to see them when they walk into those hallways on Thursday morning. I have with me a petition that was hastily made up due to not being certain of whether or not the opportunity would be given to address this issue before you. The names on here are a very tiny representation of the people whom this decision affects. I do wish that more time could have been given to getting this out, but this is what I have to present to you. Through social media sites, I have read many of my friends' comments expressing the displeasure of the moves that are to take place. Their concerns are the same as the people I am representing today. This is seen as a strike against our school, our community, and our children. I am presenting this list to you, and through the confidence entrusted in me to plead our case to you, I ask of you now to reconsider the displacement of Mr. Rodney Markham and Ms. Joy Rankin. I was just told a few minutes ago that Ms. Rankin was going to be at the school, but I had already written that up. This is a petition with 582 signatures on it, and if it pleases you, I would like to hand it to you.
I appreciate that, Mr. Locklear.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The next name, I can't read the last name. It's Charles someone who wants to speak on the conditions at Bennettsville. Oh, okay. Bennettsville Intermediate School and school configuration.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Tiller. When I first approached the board about 2 months ago, Ms. Fleming, she gave me the time and dates of the meetings, not really knowing how involved I was in the community. Later, she saw me, and she remembered me from being at Bennettsville Middle School for the past couple of years before they moved, with me and her pretty much serving as volunteers daily at Bennettsville Middle School. The issues that are at BIS are the same issues that was at Bennettsville Middle School over 7 years ago. When we try to go to the smart boards at Bennettsville Middle School, they couldn't put the smart boards in certain classrooms because the cables weren't good enough so the technology can run, so they could be compatible. I sat in many classrooms with many teachers at Bennettsville Middle School, and they complained about how bad the classrooms were on the 6th grade hall like 6-7 years ago before they moved to Blenheim. The issue as far as security, the AMI kids moved from where they were at behind that middle school because of the safety issues. When AMI kids were there, kids and people were constantly walking up out of the woods to AMI, so they moved because of their security. So the same security issues that AMI had are still the same security issues that we have now, but now we have smaller kids and we have bigger playground areas, and if you really lock it down, you can't really lock it down because of the open space. The auditorium at BIS has been eaten away by termites, not even just the mold issue. The termites ate that before we started talking about the mold issue. The restrooms that the kids were using outside that were pretty much for us as Americans, unusable for us, is what we were sending our kids to. And as far as and you got now you have the mold issues. When Blenheim had their mold issue, they had kids that were constantly transferring to Bennettsville because their kids were unable to breathe. They put the dehumidifiers in Blenheim, but they told them they couldn't stay there and they couldn't use it because with the dehumidifier, that wasn't getting rid of the mold or the breathing issues. When the mold entered the building, it entered through the bricks, and the brick has moisture. And the only way that could be removed if you suck the moisture out of the bricks. This is the same issue that our kids pretty much still have at Bennettsville Middle School or at Bennettsville Intermediate School. And as far as now with the schools and everything going back and forth, Bennettsville is the biggest, when we talk about economic development, Bennettsville is the biggest town or city within the county. If we continue to take our kids away from Bennettsville and do not build an infrastructure in Bennettsville, no business is going to want to come to this county because you got rid of the hospitals. And a couple of things that businesses look for when they come to counties and small towns is hospitals, is school system, is different things like that. But if we move away from that, then our people won't get what they're supposed to have. The people at McCall, I understand y'all situation. When Bennettsville Middle School opened up, our kids had a new principal for 4 years. So when y'all say they want faces that they want to see, our kids have faces that they want to see on a continuous basis also.
Sir, your 3 minutes is up.
My 3 minutes is up. The last thing is the most embarrassing thing for me, with it being 2017, y'all had an executive meeting, and I talked about the black and white vote being here. The black board members walked out 20 minutes before the executive session was over, and the white board members stayed. So how are we gonna do it together? How are we Marlboro strong now? Marlboro proud. Come on, bro. Come on.
Good question.
And next, Mr. Timothy McNeil. And he wants to speak on parental concerns.
Madam Chair, school board, community members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My first concern is as a parent, as a rising 7th grader. She's going to be going to almost one of the truest middle schools we have now, and there's no resource officer in place. I'm very concerned about that. It's a budgetary thing. So I would suggest private security, old-fashioned adult hall monitors with radios. All they do is walk the halls. Mr. McCall's a great principal, but he has to have help. Please give us some help. Secondly, I think the time has come for Marlboro County Board to develop a policy and a procedure to protect our student athletes. I think we need a policy and reporting procedure that a parent, player, spectator can report any verbal or physical abuse. I don't think it's going on here, but around the state and the nation, these athletes are falling victim to it. These are kids, student athletes. And I think it's time that we have that policy. Lastly, I got kind of angry hearing the parent talk about the McCall principal situation. My son is going to the 10th grade. This will be the 8th year in a row he's had a new head principal. Now, McCall has always been shielded from this. Those kids in McCall ain't no better than any other child in Marlboro County. My son has adjusted every year to maintain AB honor roll, and as a high school student, as an honor student. So kids will adjust. It's the adults with the problem. Mr. Deese, we got your back. We support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. All right, next. Individual board items for the August board meeting. Mr. Woods.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Mr. Norton. I'm going to make sure I get it right. I don't know why I did that last meeting. Do you have anything for the next meeting? Okay. Ms. Fleming?
Nothing at this time. If there was anything, I'll get with Ms. Morris, but right now I have nothing.
All right. Mr. Driggers?
I would like to put on the next board meeting to thus explore some options as far as building a new building or buying a new building or doing something so we can address some of our facility needs. I don't know if that means getting Ms. Heiser back or whatever, but I'd like to get a little more information on where the board can move from here to see if we can address some of the needs that we do need, and the public knows that we need them. So I'd like to, if we could, put that on and see if we can address some of that.
All right. Ms. Bright?
Not at this time.
Okay. Mr. Branch?
Well, I know we've discussed it over the past few months, and but I think we decided on an instrument for the evaluation, and we normally try to do it in the summer, so I think that we need to set a date for it.
At the August meeting?
I guess that'd be fine.
Okay. Mr. Coachman?
Yes, I'd like to complete all discussions and all decisions so that we can get the reconfiguration down pat, so our children can know where they're going to school, our teachers can know where they're going to be teaching, and our principals can know where they're going to be assigned to. I think it's way overdue that we owe the parents, the students, and this entire district the right to know as soon as possible where their children are going to be going to school, and stop the infighting and complete the process.
All right. And next, Mr. Woods wanted to schedule a workshop to discuss and decide on legal counsel. Want to do that in August?
No, we need to set a date. That's what I want to do. We've been talking.
August has dates.
Well, I know it's have dates. Whatever date good for the entire full board. Look at August.
I guess we could let Ms. Morris, because Ms. O'Nation isn't here now, let Ms. Morris work on that.
Yeah, she could.
Okay.
What date would be good?
Information on educational.
Madam Chair,
I'm
just
sorry?
a question on that. Are we going to be interviewing for legal counsel, or are we going to just name someone? Or?
No, the suggestion that me and Mr. Branch made that we get some other law firms in to give us a presentation to discuss.
There's a lot that
Right.
do it. I mean,
Right.
maybe three,
We got three.
if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So we will invite them at the...
Yeah, we need to invite them.
Would it be possible to delay this until right after the September board meeting?
No, ma'am. We've been delaying it for months now. We've been talking about it.
The reason I want to do that is because I'm going to have a shoulder replaced in August.
Do it this month.
And
Well, look at this month now.
Well, we got the board meeting the first week. I mean, what about the second or third week?
That's fine.
About third week next week?
That's when I'm having the surgery.
But just do it the second week.
All right. Second week of August. Okay. All right, information on educational grounds and security needs at Cloud Elementary Middle School.
I think we wanted some information on that, where the process will be held, what is the process of getting some security need down there, security cameras for Clio. Could anyone give me some information on that? That's what that was for.
All right, so you want information on educational?
No, about the cameras. I don't know where the education came from.
Okay.
It was about security and safety for Clio.
Okay, so you're not worried about grounds?
I think that they spoke about their grounds, everything that's under there when it comes to ground safety, security, for the safety of Clio school students.
Okay.
We can provide an update.
Okay, that's what I need.
And then we can provide a cost associated with a full security system with cameras for the entire campus.
All right, thank you. That's what I need.
Okay. And next, update on the lighting for ball fields at Wallace Elementary Middle School. I'm sorry.
While you're doing that for Clio, I would appreciate you doing the same for McCall.
For McCall?
Which,
In any other school?
Yeah, in other school.
as
We need
far
all
as
schools.
security cameras, is that what you're?
Yes.
Okay, we sure will.
And as far as Wallace, that situation is the SRO officer.
All right. And next, an update on the lighting for ball fields at Wallace Elementary Middle School. Mr. Coachman?
Yes, I just wanted to get an update on that. We've been talking about it for quite some time now. I think Duke Energy is supposed to be, I don't know if Mr. Brown is here, but football season will be starting soon, and we haven't had a football field to play on in the Wallace area for several years, and our kids are ready to play some football. We got the field now, we just need some lights out there. So we got our update, Dr. McLeod, I appreciate it.
As far as I was able to ascertain, Mr. Coachman, is that the lights were not included in the building of Wallace. And what we were waiting for was, you know, after everything was completed, we had everything done, then that contingency, we were planning on getting the lighting out of that.
Okay.
But we've been in contact with Progress Energy, and we've questioned them about doing the same type I guess, rental as we've done, you know, for the street lighting up there.
Okay.
But they haven't gotten back, you know, with the price for that. But that's, you know, that's why you don't have the lighting up there.
Okay.
Because, it, you know, we were counting on it coming out of that contingency
That's
after
correct.
everything was done.
Okay. And the scoreboard will be a part of that lighting?
Scoreboard is already out.
It's already out? Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
scoreboard is out there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Next, changing the time for high school graduation, Mr. Branch.
Well, I'd like for us to consider doing it on Friday night.
Can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we do the high school graduation Friday evening.
I second.
Can we vote on something without vote needed on it? Is that a violation of FOIA?
Technically, probably it is. It doesn't indicate that you're going to take action.
Could we put this on the next agenda with vote needed on it?
That's fine with me.
Okay. I didn't know somebody was going to make a motion. So that's for August. We've got a long time to graduation. It's not a crisis now. So there's no reason to violate FOIA.
Let me ask Dr. Tiller, how soon do we need to have a date in place? Do we have time to wait?
We have time. I think that as long as we have a date in place before we begin school, I think we'll be okay. And I think the other thing is just to keep in mind, I do agree that it probably needs to be changed in that it's so hot at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. But it's been our experience that several times we've had showers on Friday night. And because we get up Saturday morning, we go out and we wipe those chairs down and get it ready. So that's just something to consider. I don't know if anytime you try to have it at night during this time of year, you always stand a chance of a shower. But there's no reason not to go for it.
It'll be cool.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to probably.
It will be.
I would like to probably have a discussion on that because
Okay.
I don't particularly like Friday evening, but maybe we can do it earlier on a Saturday morning before the sun come up or something. So I like to have a discussion on that.
It's before, yeah. So what I've written down here is Friday night and other options to put on the agenda.
Ms. Fleming? I was just going to look at an earlier time on Saturday.
Okay. All right. And next, with Mr. Branch, list of all schools without, so that's already tended to. Okay, all right. And the things that I've put on here, one is discussion of the 2017-18 budget. And not necessarily that we dig into that tonight, but we've got to finish the budget. And so we need to find out when Mr. Parks can have revamped the budget based on the additions to the labor force.
We feel that by the August, I'll address that. We feel that by the August board meeting, we'll be ready to address that, in that with the changes, we're still going back and we've got to have all these numbers plugged in again.
Right.
So we are working on that with the staff, but it's going to take a little while to compile all that, because it's not only does it deal with staffing, it also deals with what we know for sure that we're going to receive now as far as allocations from the state, what we know and what we don't know. There's still some uncertainties as it relates to some of our title funding as well. And in some cases, we're getting less than we thought we were going to receive.
All right, and the next. Yeah,
I just want to ask Dr. Tiller a question. Is the reconfiguration going to affect the budget? Because I don't know where we're at. We changed it 3 different times.
It is going to impact the budget. We're not really sure yet as exactly how, but we do know that we're not using some of our facilities to their capacity, full capacity. So we will be running, for example, CLIO. We'll have 150 students or so in a facility where we could serve 300. So we won't be running up to full capacity. So there's several issues that we'll have to go back and take a look at based on decisions that have been made.
Are those decisions that made, are we in agreement that that's final? I'm just asking, are we on a...
We voted.
Yeah, well, we've changed votes before. I'm not asking that. That's a dumb question.
But where we are now is we voted. That doesn't mean we can't vote again.
Other board members also, are you final on this, or do we want to try to help the budget and to help to fill the spot so that we can have more money in reserve? Is everybody okay with reconfiguration as it stands?
Well, my concern is that we have, I think in the last meeting, it was stated that we have, where we are right now, we have 45 students at AMI kids. Do we know we're going to locate them at yet?
We hadn't gotten to that on the agenda.
I'm asking a question. He asked me a question, so I'm talking. The thing is that we need to find out what would be best, and Dr. Tiller, what is the situation of where we are now of the assignments of staff, have that impact the budget to a point where we are with that?
It has. We, at this point, I met with the principals today, and we feel we have about 14 open slots remaining. Before we met today, there were about 19. And what we've done is we've had the permanent substitutes, we've assigned all of them now to a TA position where we have vacancies, because we had them holding in the permanent substitute position so we could keep them employed when we had the salary study and all that stuff. When that happened the last time, we had over too many TAs. So the ones that we had in excess, we made them permanent subs so they could stay employed. So in that case, we've moved 5 today into TA vacancies. So that will be 5 positions that we won't have to fill because we replaced them with folks that we already have. That's one thing. As far as the Infinity School, we have not made any decisions regarding Infinity School. However, we know, based on what the state has said to us, we can't leave them there. Okay. So we'll have to find another location for any students that attend Infinity School. And it's almost like the only place that we would have to place them at this point would be the primary school. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because all of our other schools, they're K-8 schools or the high school, and that's where those kids come from. So we can't place them back in any facility that we're removing them from. An alternative setting means that we need to remove them completely from that setting. So that's an issue that we have, because all of our schools are K-8, with the exception of our primary. That's the only school that we don't serve middle school kids or high school students. So that puts us in a precarious position in that there's not a lot of places where we will be able to house those students.
We need to find a different solution, because I'm going to be very unhappy with them being at that primary school.
And I understand we did have a solution. The solution was the new facility at School of Discovery.
Along with the issue of the AMI Kids location, I didn't put anything on the agenda when we went down the list, but I'd like for us to discuss in August what we do with the building that the AMI kids were in, because once they leave, it's my understanding that once children are not in a building, it's not inhabited, then the insurance goes up and something else happens. What is it, Mr. Parks?
Ms. Parsons, I'm very offended by you continuing to ask questions of my staff when I'm sitting right here. I am superintendent. There's not anything that my staff can answer that I can't answer for you.
Dr. Taylor, would you please answer that?
Basically, we can't continue to insure it without having any students there. So we do need to look at what will we do with that particular property. One thing that I think that we need to keep in mind is you can always get more buildings or you can build more buildings, but it's hard to purchase more property. And that's property that the school district owns. And I think that we need to look at repurposing that property. Not so much that facility, because that facility is antiquated, but the property itself.
Could you bring us information about that in August?
What exactly do you want me to bring? Recommendations for repurposing?
Yes.
Okay.
And the consequences for not doing anything with it. Anyone else have anything else they want to add to that piece?
Yeah, it still doesn't give us a solution for 45 kids that's not going to have any place to go. I mean, it's like we're overlooking the fact that we need to send them somewhere. That definitely needs to be addressed. If we address everything else, these are second chance kids. almost as we just forgetting about them, not giving them a second chance.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Driggers.
I know it's not an ideal situation, but we've used mobiles before. And I'm saying that if it came to that, could we not use mobiles for perhaps this upcoming school year till we can find a solution for what we're trying to do? Is that even an option, Dr. Tiller?
We could, but then what we're doing is we're going backwards. The recommendation was for us to move them out of those mobiles, and we did that. And and I don't really know if any of the mobiles are in condition where we'd want to use them in that fashion anymore. For example, we had a conversation today about the mobile units at the primary school. We hope we can sell them. That's if the people can move them off without them falling apart. They're not in good shape.
Okay.
So if you could bring us information that decisions could be made along those lines, that would be helpful.
Regarding placement of Infinity School?
All of it. The Infinity School, what we...
I brought you recommendations already, Ms. Parsons. Well, I don't know what else. I'm not a magician. I can't pull things out of my hat. I mean, we already have come and brought several recommendations to the board as to how we could best utilize the facilities that we have without... The only thing I can think of is if we rent or lease a facility for those students.
You mentioned that last time, leasing a facility. We need some information on those kinds of options.
I think what has happened, every suggestion and recommendation that has been brought to us by the superintendent, we've done away with it and came up with our own suggestions as a board. And we have cornered ourselves, and instead of listening to the recommendations by the profession that we pay, we really put ourselves in a pickle.
Ms. Parsons.
Next.
I think that back in April, when the reconfiguration was presented to the board, we left the board with a unanimous that we thought this was a good idea. It's a done deal. And of course, anytime changes come, nobody likes changes, but we don't have a lot of options here. And this has been since April, and here it is July. A month from now, the children will be coming back, and we're still kicking the can down the road. We're limited with what we have here in terms of facilities that is suitable. We got children that needs to go somewhere, and I think the people that's in position to make those decisions, we need to respect those decisions, and let them do what they are put here to do, because I don't know, I have no idea what the state requires for a facility. I'm not sure about the other board members, but I do not know. That's what we have Mr. McLeod for, Mr. Parks, Dr. Tiller, and all of her staff. That is their job. They have bought things and bought it, and everything has been, everybody on this board was an expert with reconfiguration. And here we are now. No money, the budget was balanced. We could have done the things we needed to do, but we threw it to the public, and they took it and ran with it, and now it's just almost a snowball into something that is unbelievable. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And here we are trying to give children a second chance to children at the affinity school, and we're kicking them where we're going to put them here. We're going to put them here. We put them here. And so about renting spaces, what is in Bennettsville to rent? The schools are the best things we have, and they are not that great. So people here, I trust that this administration has built 2 new schools up and running real good. I'm sure the Blenheim people and the Wallace people are very happy with what they've done with the facilities here, not in ideal shape, but they still trying to salvage to give our children this education. They are doing it. They're on the ground every day. Let them do the job so we can please move on. It doesn't have to please me, but let them do their job, because when the rubber hits the road, the state's going to look at them, not at you.
Moving right along, the PD Coalition has asked for 2 trailers behind the Bennettsville Intermediate School. Dr. McLeod.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Tiller, PD Coalition, and I won't read the entire letter, but I'll read a portion of it. This letter was sent to Dr. Tiller. Says the new beginning shelter home is just that, a home, and we are very aware of the need to make every available room accessible to the families. Says unfortunately we have limited space for our staff to provide services for the women and children, and would like to request from Marlboro County School District the donation of 2 of the portable units, 24 feet by 30 feet, and their supporting concrete blocks that are located at the Bennettsville Intermediate School. Says we have secured a donor to assist in the transport and are aware that we will need to obtain relevant permitting to be able to do so. So what they're asking for is for 2 of those trailers that are located behind Bennettsville Intermediate School.
Mr. Childs, I think I've made a mistake here when I brought this forward on the agenda, because I didn't mention a vote to be taken. Is this something that we have to defer to the August meeting, or can we vote?
You can vote if there's exigency, if there's some need for speed, and
Okay.
2/3 of the board agree.
All right. Does 2/3 agree to,
I think there's a need.
yeah. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Let me know if anybody objects. Ms. Fleming? Okay, all right. So would someone like to make a motion to, Ms. Fleming?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that 2 of the mobile units be donated or given to the PD Coalition Against Domestic Violence.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Is that a hand wanting to discuss?
Oh, no, scratch.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Without discussion, all in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously. You're having an easy time tonight, Ms. Morris.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Which 2?
Mr. McLeod, we'll leave that to your discretion.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Suits me.
While I'm here,
I presume they'll pick the best 2. Won't
well,
they?
that's why I ask you which 2, because my mindset is that I will keep the best for us in case we need them.
Okay.
No, Mr. McLeod, you're going to be like Hannibal. You're going to burn the bridge, because we're not going back in those raggedy trailers. You know, when Hannibal was crossing the they said, burn the bridge. All right, burn them trailers.
Burn the bridge.
Burn them.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm in favor of giving the coalition the 2 best trailers.
And the rest of them, we don't want. We don't.
How do y'all feel?
That's why I asked for direction.
Okay, good deal. Does anybody disagree with that?
Leave it to his discretion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Have a trip. The cheerleaders would like to go to camp at University of North Carolina.
Okay.
They'll be staying in the dormitories. That's August. All the monies will be provided by the cheerleaders themselves and the athletic department.
All right. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the trip to the University of North Carolina.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Park, financial report as of June 14th, 2017.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Tiller. You have before you the financial report dated as of June 14th, 2017. I don't know if there's any questions that I could address at this time regarding the report.
questions?
So basically,
Yeah, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Fleming?
Less money, who's who's appropriating less money for this district?
Well, certainly the State Department has not given us the allocation that we should be receiving at this point in time.
So, okay, the State Department is not giving it, and how a legislative, how does that?
How does that? Well, the legislature has to elect to increase the base student cost to the extent it should be very close to $3,000 at this point in time.
Okay, and so it's the legislators, they are the ones that are not doing this. How can I find out who these people are?
Well, certainly our state reps are all a part of the budgetary process.
State budget and control.
Control office. Yes.
Okay, citizens, get on the horn. These people are elected, and they don't want to support your children. They were elected to do what they're supposed to do, and they are not doing it. We have to fight for our children, fight for the money to do as much as we did last year. They're going to send us less than we had last year. Is that what you're telling us?
Well, we're going to have more, but we've seen some reduction in enrollment, and that has impacted our numbers, unfortunately.
But
We've got reduction
per student,
we're getting more per student, $75 more.
Well, okay, then, public, please pay attention to this as we go on down the road. Right now, it seems like maybe we can let them run. We can let them continue serving for a little bit longer. Not Mr. Parks,
Moving
the
right
legislators.
along, Ms. Parks, to the authorization of the execution of a continuing resolution, and we do have vote needed on this.
Yes.
Would someone please make a motion?
Very good.
Motion that we authorize the execution of a continuing resolution since we do not have a budget this time.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Dr. Tiller, your superintendent's report.
Mr. Park, are you clear about how you're going to do that?
Well, we've obviously we've actually loaded the prior year budget, and when you look at the prior year budget, it's about $1 million less than what the recommended is for the current year. So we do have to pass a budget. The continuing resolution allows us to operate through August 31 with the prior year budget. And of course, one of the concerns you always have is the fact that you don't have some of the same positions in the new budget as you had in the old. You don't have some of the same funding. We had things like the TAP program. We had all of those issues. So we certainly want to get to an adopted budget. We're hoping at the August meeting. I guess that's the first, of course, that first Monday in August.
And
Mr. Park, let me ask you a question. The original reconfiguration that we had was going to save us $1.4 million.
That's correct.
That way, the budget would have been
balanced, yes,
with a $1.4 million surplus. Is that
well,
correct?
it would have, no, it wouldn't have been a surplus, but what we would have been, it would have been balanced.
Yeah.
Because of the $1.4 million.
Because of the savings that we would accomplish through, a lot of that was savings with staffing.
So, but because of the change in the reconfiguration, it's throwing us that we won't be balanced by August 31st if we don't make some changes or we don't get some more funding. That's what you're saying.
We're gonna have to work very hard to make this budget work. And I know, as the superintendent mentioned earlier, met with all the principals. I think one of the things that we've seen are situations where we've had vacancies that we're not going to be able to fill because there's just not teachers out there to be able to fill those positions. So I think we're going to see situations where there's no alternative but to have some larger class sizes in certain situations that we wouldn't have had to have had we been able to get to a balanced budget earlier with the reconfiguration. And that reconfiguration actually took less staff.
One other question. Last time we was talking about retirees and coming back to the table with, we actually about some
Yes,
things.
sir.
Did you?
I can give you some ideas what the numbers are in terms of retirees, because we've already, with the budget that we're proposing, we have the retired classroom teachers at 14 years. We've also included in a compression of the bus drivers' pay salary scale so that they would start at a higher rate. Okay. That's included. However,
one other question on that before you go any further.
Yes, sir.
With the 14 years, is that going to pay the retirees on the pay scale as they are on now?
It's going to pay them a bachelor's and 14 years of experience. And that cost the district to move from paying on a bachelor's at 7 to a bachelor's plus 14, that costs about $66,000. Now, I know one of the questions that came up was if we looked at increasing other certified, because we're only talking about classroom teachers, paying them at 14 years of experience. But if we also address other certified, that would be a little less than $30,000, $29,709. And then if you look at the classified staff, in order to increase them to 14 years, that cost is about $48,000.
What? I'm just asking a question. Just
yes, sir.
Okay. What if we look those that have master's degree versus the ones that bachelor's with 14? Because the ones that master's will lose money. That wouldn't be.
Well, what we have done with the engaging retirees is that we have paid them without reference to their degree. So rather than paying them for the actual degree that they hold, we're included in the budget paying them on a bachelor's degree in 14 years. So if we were to pay for the actual degree, the cost would increase. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we don't have the money to do that.
We don't have the funding at this time for that.
Okay.
Mr. Parks.
Mr. Woods?
You said that y'all looked at that we have 14 vacants of teachers right now?
We have 14 teaching vacancies. That's down from 19 because there were situations where classes were
Do you know what grade level? Do you know what grade level that is?
We've got a schedule. I don't know whether or not, Ms. McCall, do you have that with you? Or I know there are three schools that are impacted by the vacancies.
The high school has several vacancies. Social studies, Spanish, English. The intermediate school has a few elementary vacancies. And any of the other principals that I haven't.
Wallace,
I'm sorry. And Wallace has 4 vacancies. High school, Wallace, intermediate school, 1 at Glen. Principal, speak up, help me, I don't have you.
I think that's it.
And all these are in the critical areas of our students, right?
Absolutely, they're content area vacancies.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Tiller, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Parsons. Ladies and gentlemen, I I'd like to start first by addressing the citizens here tonight from Clio. One, I want the citizens from Clio to know that we worked on those things that you were concerned about a year ago. We did everything that we could possibly do within our budget. We did do lighting, we did do paving, some fencing, and some other things, but I will bring that full report back. That's one thing that I wanted to mention. The other thing is the citizens from our attendance zone in McCall. I want to thank you for bringing your concerns this evening. I do want you to understand that every time I make decisions, I have to make decisions based on what's best for the entire student population in Marlboro County. And I assure you that any decision that I've made was to make sure that we always have high quality personnel at McCall and that we're always able to cover the school as we need to with the proper staff. So I did want to share that. In addition to those two things, I'd like to share that I am happy to report that we received the AVID grant, and that's one of the grants that I mentioned at the last board meeting that we had applied for. And that we will be receiving $500,000 for the next 3 years. And that $500,000 we will be able to purchase the AVID program, and we will use this program for our high school freshman class. And the AVID program is very expensive because the results that you receive from it are very, very good results. About 85% of students that go through the AVID program in that type of instruction, they normally go to 2- and 4-year colleges. They're very persistent, and 85% of them will graduate. So we're excited about that. Through that program, our students will be experiencing content at higher levels of rigor. And that's one of the recommendations that the advanced ed group made, is that across the board in pre-K through high school that we needed to advance the rigor for as far as the instructional program is concerned. So that's one good thing, that we will have that program, and that will be an asset for our high school students. We've also had professional development already for our principals and administrators regarding rigor relevance. We had one of the professors to come in from actually Winthrop and worked with us over the summer, and we are working and using some materials that they provided for us, and so we will continue to work on rigor and relevance as far as the curriculum is concerned. The other thing that I wanted to report on is that we have applied for a Gear Up grant, and we're still very hopeful. It's my understanding, I hope we're about 99%, but I just haven't got the final word. And so we're looking forward to hearing back from that. If we get that grant, then we will be able to cover some positions within that grant. So, and that will be for several million. So I'll keep you posted, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Tiller. All right. Do we have all these things? Maybe just really dark, or is it?
We have new hires and no high school petitions, new hires
and what about contractual matters? All right, I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel matters, new hires, and resignations. Would someone please make such a motion?
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor, please raise your right hand. And the motion's carried unanimously.